2023 already. Oh my God. And if you're anything like me, one of your New Year's resolutions might have been to improve your art skills. So it's actually time to act on this resolution. But before you start, you might be wondering how exactly to do that. And trust me, I've been in your shoes. Since 2018, I have been telling myself to improve my art skills, but it wasn't until very recently that I was actually able to do so. One of my main issues is with consistency. I tend to not be very consistent drawing every day or actually, doing that all the time. And whenever I make drawings, I struggle to actually create art that I'm proud of versus art content that I'm gonna just post on Instagram versus actually just making studies and sketches that I don't need really to show anyone. This year, the kind of broad goal is not only to improve my art skills, but also to find a balance between studying and creating art and art content and all of that. So before we actually start brainstorming and working through our plan, let's chat a little bit about this whole art versus content notion. If you are a digital illustrator or if you tend to post and share your art online, you might have felt this mental pull between creating art that you want to create versus creating art to please an algorithm and to get likes and shares and things like that. And honestly, it's hard. It's a balance that we need to be constantly aware of. But what I have found more and more lately is that making art for myself that resonates with me, that I am proud of, is way more fulfilling than any metric on social media, even if I do get thousands of likes and shares and whatever else. But at the same time, I sometimes do enjoy creating art just to publish on Instagram, just to post there, like some Valentine's Day or Christmas holiday illustration or something inspired by a movie that I watched that I know it's trending on social media at the moment. That's totally fine, and you should do that. The issue is when we actually lose track of why we're creating art in the first place and we start creating art just for that. In my mind, I have basically 3 columns that I try to keep in mind. So the first one is actually creating art that is meaningful to me. Then the second one is art that I'm not really going to be putting on my portfolio. It's really just for my feed or for reels or something like that. It's just content. And the third one is the one that I struggle the most with. It's just sketches for studying, for the purpose of improvement. I suck at just taking the time to study art. And that is one of the things that I want to be working on this year. So to start, think back on a time that for you was super productive and that you actually saw a lot of improvement in your art skills. So everyone is different, but for me, I had basically 2 times in my life. Once was in 2019 when my New Year's resolution was to actually draw for 4 hours per day. And the other one was last summer when I was actually working through a whole 12-week challenge. So the common thread between those is that I actually had very measurable tasks. One was time spent to drawing, and the other was like amount of drawings finished by week or something like that. So if I have very clear output goals, perfect, I'm golden. If I just tell myself to draw, but I'm not specific enough in terms of what or how long do I have to actually complete that, things usually don't really get done. Now that you know, or that you've kind of thought back on a time that was helpful for you, just keep that in mind because you might be adapting a similar approach now as to what you did at the time. But the second part now that we're going to be thinking is regarding the skills. What are the specific skills that you're trying to improve on? In my case, I have basically 4: narrative, light and shadow, texture, and gesture. Have that in your mind because obviously if you're trying to improve, you need to know what you're trying to improve. You need to have measurable targets, I guess. And also, if possible, think about some artistic inspirations. It's great to have a direction as to where to go. So to start, This one right here, the artist, I don't know, I found it on Pinterest, but I absolutely I love specifically the facial expressions, how much love and like just the feeling that this image convey. Then it's Evelyn Stockard, again with a very clear facial expression, like very moody, love it. A classic by Sam Does Art with light, so light and shadow. This one by Lucas Peinador, who is a YouTuber. I absolutely love the lighting on this piece, as well as the gesture, the shape language, the colors, the narrative. So now with that, with some creative juices already flowing in my brain, let's move on to actually writing stuff down. Okay, I actually don't really need anything fancy. I just have this sheet of paper that I printed. This, which is totally unrelated. So I'm just gonna turn backwards because I don't really need it. And now it's time for brainstorming. And seriously, this part is messy, doesn't matter, like it's just an initial step. So from here, I'm actually gonna be organizing this on a little list on my planner and then moving on to a calendar. So this is a multiple step process. So I'm gonna start just like writing down the ideas that I've had already for illustrations and then go on from that. Okay, so these are the drawing ideas that I've had so far, and then I'm also gonna put here some resources that I would love to be, using. Okay, perfect. So now I have a bunch of illustrations, a bunch of resources that I have. I'm gonna like be writing on the side whether these are drawings or content to actually be separating versus studying. So art versus content versus study, because I really kind of want to have a balanced distribution between these. I don't want to just be creating content or just creating art and like not studying. I want to have a balance. Plus, I also need to keep in mind how many hours per week I have to actually study. And I'm gonna say I have like 30 minutes a day, more or less, way more time on the weekends. So I mean, if I stopped watching TikTok, I would have like an hour and a half a day. Okay, let's be real. So let's put 1 hour per day. This is how much time I have. And what I really want to come out of it, like the actual metric, is to have one finished drawing, like art, per week. And since I am actually a Domestika Plus member, this is not sponsored at all, it's just a very cool website, I need to use it. So to make my money's worth, I really want to take 2 courses per month. Let me get my other pen because I have different colors, so I might as well use them and actually do this. So Taylor Swift Eras, this is definitely content. Twiggy's Story, this is art. Artist Postcard, this is art. Elderly Couple, Valentine's Day Pieces, this is both art and content. Black History Month Pieces, that's definitely content, just an idea around that for February. Story dice. Ooh, let me show you this because this is actually kind of cool. And I have a separate one. These are story dice. I bought them at Flying Tiger, and they're just like random dice with a bunch of different stuff. And I bought this back in September, and I have yet to use it for illustrations. So I might make a video of this. But it's a cool thing. It's probably just a content piece, not an actual art piece for portfolio, but I like it. I think it's fun. And I actually have another one kind of like this, but it's fairy tale themed. This one is just random. So yeah. AI inspired art. This is content. Etsy art, bridal, luxury, etc. This is art. And then monthly, there's the challenge on Oasis Patreon. And this is study, actually. And now for these are resources, all of them. So all of this is study. So now I can put even kind of a month or due date for all of these. if they do have it. This one definitely, March. Cool, this looks good. So now, let me actually just check if there's anything else that I forgot. Okay, so now here in the bottom, I decided to do a little differently. I actually have the 3 columns that I was telling you about earlier. I have art, content, and study. And I'm gonna bring this stuff here and I'm gonna add into this table. And I'm gonna be actually putting in months. So it's a little bit more organized. And then from here, I can actually think about how much time I actually have for all of these, plus add them into my Google Calendar, which, you know, you can do at your own pace. But keeping in mind that I have, you know, like, let's say 3 free weekends a month, 1 hour a week or a day, that's what I have to work on. So here to study, I have 2 courses. I'll do that for 3 months. And I have the Kidlit book. And then here I will do Loisha's Patreon in February. And in March, I'll actually take the time to read through this narrative book that is coming out that I'm very excited to read. So those are the easy ones to study. And now we can work on the actual art and the content. So now in the end, this is what I came up with, and now I can actually just bring this into my Google Calendar or whatever other calendar you potentially use to block the time for these tasks. These are very clear. I have either to finish or to sketch. I already know in my mind kind of how much time each of these will take. So it's way more actionable than just having a very broad improve my art skills. And it's also a good mix between finished illustrations, studies, and art content. So for January, I have here to work on the sketches for my little art book, which is about my cat Twiggy, to finish a narrative-driven illustration on an elderly couple, to work on the monthly challenge, Patreon challenge by Loish, and you're gonna see the same one every month since I really wanna take on her challenges, and to create an AI-inspired artwork that is going to be very content-driven. And then in terms of actual studying, I do have 2 courses that I already selected to take and to read this one book that I have and I have been procrastinating on for the longest time. For February, continuing the project to illustrate my own book, I have to clean up and color the illustrations. Then I have a relationship themed illustration similar to this elderly couple but different under the umbrella theme of Valentine's Day. Again, the illustration for Loish, and then a Taylor Swift inspired illustration that I want to be working on in February for a content piece. Again, 2 courses. I haven't decided on those. I don't really need to decide on everything at once. And just so I don't lose track, I also kept here on this first page the list. So with other ideas that I've had, and I can finish off as the year goes by, and I can just write the next few months once I actually get closer to them. So this is how I am planning and organizing my year to actually improve my drawing skills and hit a good balance between studying, creating art content, and actually working on illustrations that I'm excited about. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please let me know. If you have any other tips on how to actually improve your art skills as kind of like an adult and not an art student, please share those in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.